Today's presentation will be given by 𝐿𝐸 His presentation is titled Tribalism, Prehistoric and Modern. Like the rest of us, Lee is in a number of vulnerable tribes. It's a miracle that he has not been arrested after decades of radical progressivism. Lee?
Good morning. Here is tribalism in a nutshell. We are tribe number 10. Number 10 is the greatest tribe. All the other tribes suck. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. That says it all. There are two types of tribalism. First is the tribalism of ancient prehistoric peoples. Then there's the tribalism of modern so-called civilization, going back a few hundred years right up to MAGA today. The word tribe is loaded with a lot of negative baggage, especially when used to describe some other people. It was coined by the European colonizers to depict people they considered primitive, uncivilized, and on the fringes of civilization. These were the tribal people, they said, that needed to be colonized and taught how to become civilized, which meant to adopt white, male, Christian culture. With the prehistoric people, beginning tens of millennia ago, there were quite a few factors that went into creating a tribe. The main one was ancestors. If a group of people had the same ancestors, they would form a tribe. Among the other factors were language, geography, and customs. Of course, why have a tribe of people who couldn't talk to each other? Or why have a tribe where some of the members lived on one side of the mountain or one side of the river and the others on the other side? That would be stupid. The purpose of coalescing into a tribe was for mutual protection from other tribes and for economic reasons, and those two factors are not unrelated or mutually exclusive. When resources of food became scarce, it was the function of the tribe to go get some from another tribe. We call that war. Fought then for food. And now nation tribes fight for resources, mainly oil, as in World War I, World War II, and the present wars in the Middle East. Back then, prehistoric tribal war made sense, since survival is a prime value. I don't think there was back then much cooperative sharing between tribes, same as now. Back then, it was important to keep group dynamics and to keep the tribe functioning together as a tribe. Thus, the supreme values of the tribe were loyalty to the tribe and cooperation. Evolution, particularly the development of group dynamics and the growth of tribes, communities, and societies, relies on cooperation. Cooperation in a group leads to concepts like right and wrong, and morality, and sharing, and well-being, etc. A group that cooperates to hunt and protect each other will prosper, whereas individuals and groups who do not will fail. An individual who does not cooperate would be shunned from the tribe or killed. Tribes demand loyalty, and in return they confer the security of belonging. Each of us is unique, individual, and alone. It is by belonging that we assuage that feeling of being alone. It is by buying into tribes, to tribalism, that we mitigate feeling alone. Tribalism provides in-group solidarity. For most people, it can feel awesome to belong. We seem to long to belong. We seem to long to belong. Tribes provide badges of identity. They make thinking unnecessary because they do it for you and may punish you if you try to think for yourself, especially in cult tribes. This was why it was so important to have a mechanism to ensure tribal loyalty. One way was where they always had some type of secret that only tribe members were allowed to know. If you ever told a secret to a member of another tribe, there was a big punishment. Also, if you ever tried to leave the tribe, you would be ostracized, shunned, never allowed back into the tribe, or even killed. Today in our political world, we have a lot of, quote, bad tribalism. Bad tribalism is a group identity that fosters bullying and scapegoating of others not like you. Bad tribalism joins people out of shared anger, jealousy, resentment, and spite, not for collective cooperative well-being. A classic example is MAGA. They have been given permission from the Orange Man to act out those feelings. Trump is a tribal leader. Tribalism seems to be hardwired into our brains. It goes all the way back to prehistoric times. It occurs in all cultures, regardless of their family structures, their political systems, or their size. Nothing has changed for many millennia. This is the age-old problem of us and them. And the tribal norm was and is to see the outgroup as the other, especially if the tribal bond is very strong. When we see them as the other and survival is the issue, the other is then seen as the enemy. But it doesn't have to be just physical survival. It can be emotional survival, or political survival, or status survival. It is often the case that it's economic survival, which is right next to physical survival. It doesn't matter what type of survival it is, or what combination of survival it is. It is always the case that they are perceived as the other, and either as a competitor or as an enemy. When groups feel threatened, they retreat into tribalism. They close ranks and become more insular, more defensive, more focused on us versus them. These days, in the case of the shrinking white majority, these relations have combined into a backlash, raising tensions in an already polarized social climate. The size of the tribe matters a lot. The smaller the tribe, the stronger the bond among and between the members of the tribe. As any type of tribe gets bigger, the bonds get weaker, with a few exceptions, like nationhood, or race, or religion. For example, in prehistoric times, the average tribe was about 100 to 200 members, small enough to ensure maximum loyalty, big enough to provide security. But in our relations with other groups, it can lead to the worst behaviors of which human beings are capable. History shows that if and when some group of people are seen as the other, the whole range of bad things happen. War, Holocaust, genocide, enslavement, rape, atrocity, discrimination, pillage. They happen regardless of which civilization or which culture or which nation or which political system we're talking about. It's about seeing the other as the other that is all that matters. The main psychological factor about tribalism is that it is used by a person to create his or her identity. It answers the questions, who am I and who are we? These questions merge and have two components. We each have a personal identity and a social identity. Our personal identity is unique to each of us. It is a composite of many things, some of which we choose, some of which we don't. Your name is part of your personal identity, as is the form and color of your eyes and your fingerprint. It's also such things as your age, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation. Personal identity markers are also things that a person chooses, like their musical tastes, style, hobbies and interests, or sports team affiliations. Your personal identity can also overlap with your social identity with regard to socioeconomic status, religious or spiritual affiliation, race, ethnicity, citizenship, and nation of origin. They overlap. That is where your personal and your social identity merge. Social identity refers to the ways that people's self-concepts are derived from their membership in social groups, which can often be tribes. Again, there is usually overlap between the two types of identity. Social identity is reinforced by the symbolization of flags and logos and names and songs and slogans and mascots and apparel and tattoos, etc. Social identities are most influential when individuals consider membership in a particular tribe to be central to their self-concept. And then they feel strong emotional ties to the tribe. Affiliation with a tribe, big or small, confers increased self-esteem, which helps to sustain the tribal social identity. There are degrees of pressure depending on the strength of the bond. Pressures to conform to the tribe's norms, rules, and values, which is akin to loyalty to the tribe. We most often tend to evaluate our own tribe positively and the competing tribes negatively. 10, 10, 10. The underlying social categories are bought into from the typical attributes of other group members. These attributes can be norms, rules, and values, but also their perceptions, feelings, and behaviors, such as bigotry and prejudice. Social identity is constructed by the lens we cast inward to classify and judge our own being. In modern society, the greater the strength of our personal self-identity, the lower the commitment to tribal identity and its norms, beliefs, and behavior patterns. People get invested in and join tribes in one or more of four ways: financially, giving money or getting it from someone; cognitively, where ideas are shared; emotionally, where feelings are bought in; or fourth, ideologically, where some degree of true believerism is at work. The larger the investment by a person in the tribe of one or more of those means of investing in it, the more close-minded they are to changing their beliefs. Why? Because we tend to believe what the tribe believes. We identify with what others believe. The beliefs are not about what they know. It's about who they are. Tribal identity often becomes part of personal identity. A good example is the police. They're very tribal and very much It's a part of each cop's personal identity. This often leads to cognitive dissonance, which makes us resistant to beliefs that are contrary to what we already believe, especially when it's about our identity and our tribe. This can lead to, quote, pathological tribalism, where association with a tribe becomes so ingrained in our identity, it makes it difficult to think critically and independently. Truth moves to the background. We become true believers. We become mentally and emotionally trapped in certain ideas. Again, we become mentally and emotionally trapped in certain ideas. Joining a tribe is characterized by three factors. One, we understand the norms, values, and boundaries of the tribe. Two, we judge whether the group is attractive and gives us status. Three, we feel some degree of an emotional bond with the group. As a species, we seem to be locked into tribalism. Is there no way out? Can we replace the us and them with the we? Can we undo Homo sapiens' history? Can we see ourselves as one tribe called humanity? This seems to be a utopian effort. But there is a way out. It would mean the end of the nation state as we know it. The nation we are born into or immigrate to is one of the most powerful tribes of the modern era. You are said to be treasonous, to be punished with death if a member of one tribal nation helps the members of an enemy tribe in times of war. Are the masses of mankind divided into nation-state tribes, ready, willing, and able to rid themselves of the social identity of one's country? That question is haunting mankind. Either consciously or unconsciously, it seems to be mostly unconsciously. I don't see much evidence that we are anywhere near there yet, if ever. Ready, willing, and able. The three necessities it would take, all three. Ready and willing are not presently present. As they say, there's no political will for it. Being able would mean a total change in global politics. No more war, since we will all be in the same tribe. We will all be in this together. We already are, as a species, and always have been, but mankind is not yet conscious of that reality. So let's assume it happens. There is then the problem of how to sustain that new global one-tribe consciousness. If tribalism is hardwired in all of us, sustaining the one-world tribe may be just as hard as creating it. We are social animals. We are in need of belonging, of tribalism. But how great is that need? The only hope, as I see it, is that global warming, climate change, has a chance to bring this about. If we do it, if we get a global tribe forced by nature's circumstance, and we get control of climate change, would mankind then revert to smaller national or regional tribes? This shift will have to be a paradigm shift of world magnitude. This has happened before. The knowledge that the world is round, not flat, that was a paradigm shift. The shift from a hunter-gathering to an agricultural economy was also then to an industrial economy. That was a paradigm shift. The shift from that to today's digital world is fast becoming another paradigm shift. The shift from human to artificial intelligence is already happening. The paradigm shift from global warming to a lifestyle that corrects the damage of climate change is yet to come. Can it, or are we, in our collective unconscious, suicidal? That is more subtle, but it's possible that we are. How likely is that paradigm shift to happen? Who knows? It will mean a new worldwide religion based on reason, not on delusion. There are many ways to look at this. Here are 4 of those ways. First way, hopelessness. Climate change is too much, too fast, it's too late, forget it, we're doomed. Second way, skepticism. The paradigm shift could happen, but it probably won't. Weapons of mass destruction will probably destroy us before we all roast. Third way, practical. People will have to make the shift, whether they like it or not, in order to survive. Unless we shift the present paradigm, we are all going to die from global warming, but not by choice. Our houses will become microwaves. Fourth way, faith. If we pray long enough and hard enough, Sky Daddy will take care of it for us. Take your pick and be careful how you pick. The recent election was a classic example of tribalism in action. The exception to the axiom that big tribes have weaker bonding than small tribes can be evidenced in a mass cult and in pathological tribalism. People by the millions in one tribe saw the federal court cases as prosecution of bad guys. The MAGA tribe saw the same cases as persecution, the rule of law versus victim-victim. Different norms, different values, different perceptions, different realities. And when there are different realities, it can become absurd, like the mass pardons. And if perception is reality, as it is said, then both tribes are right, until and unless one of the tribes sees their perceived reality as not real. That only happens if they can get past being trapped in denial and trapped in this axiom. They know, but they don't want to know, so they don't know. Again, they know, but they don't want to know, so they don't know. And they vote. Thank you. As I see it, there's good news and bad news. The bad news is that it's way worse than we think it is. The good news is there are so many internal contradictions in that whole thing, so many internal contradictions that it may implode the thing from inside. Who knows?